Hey everyone, it's Insetik, and here with me is Blank Tester
Hey kids, how's it going?
and Matt Rocks 101.
Hey, I'm Matt.
And this is just a quick little thing we're going to put together because it's the 10-year anniversary on the day of releasing this of me doing extreme sports like playthroughs, let's plays, coverage. I guess what I've
10
kind
years
of become
already,
known
damn.
for. Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, so just like some reminiscing, some chatting, and then later on, I did ask you guys, my viewers, for some questions, so we'll do a little Q&A, but yeah, to kick this off, I guess, like the story, this is kind of like you go to the restaurant or you get your food delivered, and on the bag, there's the story of the restaurant, or on a poster on the side of the wall,
Yeah.
Frankie Sammy's sandwiches or something. The story
That's
of
the
them.
name.
I don't know.
Is that the name of the
And you read the bag and it says that like John Anderson started Frankie Sammy sandwiches and you're
Yeah.
like, what?
what the fuck is
Not even
yeah.
Frankie Sammy?
No, it was a marketing move.
It was yeah.
All right, but so yeah, it was summer of 2012. I had just done my freshman year of college. Well, Bob and I had, but it's just an independent thing. And of course, through that, my Xbox 360 red ringed again. That one lasted longer than a lot of my 360s beforehand, but I was kind of fading off of video games or so, or like just playing them recreationally. But it was sort of like, okay, it's the summer, I don't have like a summer job or whatever, I'm just sitting in my parents' house most of that, like, hey, what do I have? And I had my old PlayStation 2 that I had as a kid when it came out, and a bunch of games for that. And, as a kid, I played, like, sure, the Tony Hawk games and SSX games, but I played some other of the kind of extreme sports games as well, like, some of Activision O2's other titles, Sean Palmer Pro Snowboarder, Wakeboarding Unleashed, Dave Mirra 2, etc. But I had that PS2, and it worked. So I was playing some of those again, and I had a capture card, and, like the Let's Play scene was kind of taken off at the time, and so it was just sort of a whole group of things of like, hey, here are these games that no one really has anything much on the internet about. Again, they weren't the most popular, so there was pretty much just like IGN 30-second clips, No like walkthroughs or really fuller coverage. And so I decided, hey, I'll be the one who does it for some of those.
I appreciate that.
So I, picked what game do I want to do first? Oh, Sean Palmer. And how do I want to structure it? Well, again, the Let's Play subforum on like the Something Awful website had this, I guess, air of more professionalism. This was before, like, just, playing a game and reacting and da-da-da, So,
Yeah, I mean it's long enough ago that like Let's Play became a genre after that, right? So like
Well, around the time, I remember this is around 2011, 2012 is when it started to be its own thing.
yeah.
Like that was the beginnings. Like it was still, the most popular thing was still Call of Duty commentaries. But, like Let's Plays were starting to be more popular.
yeah.
Like casual ones,
It's actually funny. Sorry, I'm searching for a comment. I literally got a comment like just a couple days ago on one of my most recent videos, like one of the Skate 3 videos, saying like, wow, this feels like it was uploaded 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was like, funny that... So yeah, that was the style at the time, and then as I continued and brought more people on, like, sure, it became goofier. Like, at the start, I was really, really kind of like, alright, there could be some goofs, but I want to be really serious and almost walk through, like, about these. But then as it went on, I just kind of stuck with that. I didn't try to do the updated kind of popular things. Like nowadays it would be like, I did this challenge run in this video game, and it would be like a 30-minute video of like, 10 hours of gameplay recording, and then you cut it down and do some
some
post
highly
commentary
edited
stringing
thing.
it together, but
Or highly scripted, or maybe if you're doing a live playthrough, you'd have a green screen version of you in the corner, playing through, or you'd be doing it on Twitch, right? Like that'd be those are the
That's
the ways
where I
people
see
kinda
most
do
of
that
the
stuff these days.
longer form challenge stuff is always like Twitch recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
but
all
anyway,
the Elden Ring without getting hit.
Anything with editing is too much effort for me. So like, or like a lot more editing. So I'm fine with still doing, like, all right, record for 40 minutes, edit it down to 30 minutes, bring my friends and I on to talk about it after the fact and be funny during that. And hey, that's it.
You know, it's funny you say that anything with more editing would be too much effort, because when you were doing your stuff, it had more editing than most Let's Plays.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, like this would have been the professional Let's Play 10 years ago.
Yeah, I've got to think.
Good one.
I've got to think about it in 2012 terms and not 2022 terms. So I've also always been like, I don't want to waste my own time, and searching up, like trying to find a spot where you're stuck on in a game or so, and finding someone's just unedited live playthroughs where it's like, do they cover it in part 50? Do they cover it in part 70? Is annoying. So
and they would be 70 parts back then. Like they really would be that long. Like it's crazy to think about that now. Because now, instead of watching it in parts on YouTube, you'd probably just watch them live stream the whole game.
And it's weird too to think about, like, back in the day, like, having a video that was over 15 minutes long was seen as like a long video. It's a huge time expenditure.
It had to be 10 minutes
so, like,
long tops.
10 minutes tops, or like around 10 minutes. There were people who were uploading like 70-part Let's Plays of some game, and it would be like 5-minute segments. And it's like, I can't imagine watching that now. That doesn't make any sense. Even though the amount of time I would spend watching it would probably be about the same as the amount of time I would spend watching, the game played front to back. It's, even so, I would rather watch it front to back because I don't have to get through like 100 intros and outros.
Do you know how long, or how much it blew my mind when I found out long plays existed, and there was a guy who just played through the entire game in one go, edited it together, and I didn't have to sit through like 60 parts.
I mean, like, I found out about long plays at the same time that Connor showed me what a speedrunning was, because Connor was the one who introduced me to speedrunning. And so I was like, oh, speedrunning's cool. Wait, long play? So you're trying to get through the whole game in one sitting, and you're not going fast? Like, I don't understand this.
Like, you're just playing the game.
You're just playing the game. Like, I don't have time for this. Like, what are you doing?
I honestly learned to... I appreciate long plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, like, there are a whole lot of games that I haven't and won't ever play by myself. Like, just within the last month or so, I got curious about, hey, how are the original, like, Silent Hill games, 1, 2, 3, The Room, because really all I'd seen were speedruns of them, or, like, video essays analyzing of them, but it's like, what is the actual game like? What is the flow of the game? What is kind of
the meat of
tone theme that you get? And so obviously there are, no commentary long plays out there for those, and watching those, it was great, because it's like, oh, I see, like, that this is the horror mood that they actually really do create.
Yeah.
See, those were good for me because I was too scared to actually play through Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
So I had to resort to watching the long play because he would actually move forward.
Yeah, and
and I wouldn't. I would stand still and not want to move at all.
Yeah, and a 4-hour long play, even if the guy is, taking his time or whatever, he obviously knows what he's doing. Unless it really is like a blind, no commentary long play, which I don't watch those. But like 4 hours would be a lot better than if I bought the, bought an edition I could play and it was a 40-hour playthrough,
Yeah, because long plays are kind of the precursor to the commentary.
Yeah, because
commentary things.
To kind of wrap back around and finish my original point. Like, so I never want to waste your guys' time. By your guys, I mean my audience or whatever. So, like, when I upload a video and it's post-commented and it's edited to get through a certain amount of content that usually tells you what's gonna happen in the title or such, it's like, okay, this is what this part is going to cover, Extreme sports make it easy because usually it's just a level, or usually it's just the next segment of the game until you get
a challenge, or
a certain point.
Like, it's a more concrete goal that you achieve the goal and you're done, and that also makes it helpful. So, like, if you're going back and playing an older game, that's obviously Connor's picking his audience a little bit by choosing a topic that isn't going to have so many people asking him questions about it, right? Like, you can go back and comment on a Sean Palmer video, and there's a solid possibility that somebody in the comments or Connor himself will respond to your comment and just answer your question. Because it'll be like, how did you do this thing? Oh, you got to do this. You know, it's like pretty straightforward, as opposed to like, you know, a lot of modern games have more less differentiation between challenges. You know, everything's kind of continuous.
Yeah, you could ask a guy like, hey, how do you do this or something, and they might be like, I don't know, I didn't figure it out either when playing.
Yeah, it just happened to me.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I do see pretty much all the comments, and, you know, they are few and far between, but when I do get a question about, hey, how did I do something, or so, that is great to answer. Yeah. You know, especially with, like, Descenders, where that series, you know, was kind of more like a guide again, but that's because
Descenders is a little cryptic, and
that was a little more more popular of a game than I had been doing, and it was sort of cryptic and tough to get at the start. I think so let's also kind of talk about that, where like why and when did I pick the games that I wanted to do. At the very start, like 2012, the first like 6 months were all the games that I did play as a kid before. Right. And could replay and
Downhill Domination.
Leg up, yeah. Sean Palmer, Downhill Domination, Dave Mira, Freakstyle, Razor Freestyle Scooter,
Jet X2O,
Wakeboard Unleashed. Inline. Actually, Aggressive Inline, I think, was the first game where I hadn't played it before. But that was, you know, several months in, which again was a decent amount of time for a something awful Let's Play thread.
Did Wakeboarding Unleashed, did that Let's Play come out in 2012 or 2013?
That was
right at the very end of 2012, very start of 2013.
Yeah, that was the very first one I saw by you.
Yeah, I remember, like, I had some occasional commenters, you know, on the forum posts for this, again, on Something Awful. I don't think you'd be able to find it now. Again, it was like 10 years ago, so it's probably archived. But I remember I did like a poll of like, which game should I do first and then second and third out of like Dave Mira 2, Aggressive Inline, and Wakeboarding Unleashed. And of course, I think like Dave Mira 2 won because that's the most popular, and Wakeboarding Unleashed lost because like no one had heard of it.
Except for me.
I mean, I did get around to it eventually. It was just a case of, you know, 2 weeks from now
it was
now.
Not you know what? It not being a popular game is the only reason I found your Let's Play. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Because I was searching for any fucking footage of this game that I remembered as my child, and you had like the
only
that's exactly it. Yeah, like I mean, if you search for Dave Mira gameplay, like I'm looking at Connor's page right now. Let's Play Dave Mira Freestyle BMX 2 Level 1, 407,000 views.
Yeah,
good number of views. That's a lot of views.
That was
but
probably all the players that ever played the game.
Yeah, that's like everybody who ever played. But like you go to like Sled Storm, 13,000 views. That's a lot for Sled Storm, right? That's a lot for
probably actually everyone who's ever played.
Yeah, and like
more people too. Like
and like Connor's probably one of the 3 people who's ever uploaded footage of Sled Storm. Then there's games that are way more obscure, you know, where like we're the reason that people even know about the game. You know?
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
There's extremely obscure games that I really like and really wanted to push, like Jet X2O. So
like
you can find a bunch on that. Or there's really obscure games that, sure, I covered as part of this want to play a bunch of Extreme Sports games, but that didn't really like stick with me. So it's like, all right, recorded playthrough. That's it. I'm not going to think about them again.
Was Krusty Demons one of those? Because that's a game I forget exists.
I think about Krusty Demons all the time because of that speed run.
Wait, what? There was a speed run of it?
Yeah, remember I figured out that, like, if you restart at certain points, it just wipes your clear time for the last bit. So
yes, I remember that. Yes,
I ended up, quote-unquote, beating the game in 18 minutes.
Yeah,
I remember Krusty Demons more for how broken it is than for the actual gameplay, you know.
Yeah, because I don't remember, like, all I remember is the Manhattan level, I think.
Yeah, I remember.
And the ending where you
had you on that
game.
But yeah, so where I'm getting at is, you know, there are those 2 types of things, and like, yeah, my kind of, at the start and throughout most of it, it kind of did turn into like, a joke, but also the focus of the channel to play all the unknown games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure if I did Tony Hawk a lot earlier, I'd have probably gotten, more subscribers a lot earlier or whatever. And I also want to say, this will always be just like a hobby. Like, I've never monetized, and I'm not going to. Unless, like, I don't know, it absolutely blows up and I do start getting, like, hundreds of thousands of views every single video. But anyway, like, yeah, I guess I kind of just wanted to cover all of the unknown stuff. And then, yeah, like, going into 2020, I don't know, I just felt like it was, I had the great Tony 20 series idea, and I was like, I have to use this. And so then it was like, it kind of pivoted to, all right, let me do like a series that's a popular series and cover all of them, or at least all of, like, for Tony Hawk, the original Neversoft games. So that's why it's been, Tony Hawk for 2020, SSX for 2021, Skate for 2022. And I have enjoyed those, especially, the increased viewer base and comment base, seeing what you guys think, because that is comparing, like, my experience and my commentator's experience versus a much, much wider range. When I admit, when it was like, hey guys, this is Beach King Stunt Racer Part 6, nobody really had any prior experience, so it was just like, what do I say? Oh, this game still looks weird, but...
I mean, like, I think that's, like, you brought me on, not on the first videos, you brought me on the second LP, right? And, like,
yeah.
I think we've both changed a lot in the last 10 years, with good reason. It's been 10 years. But, like, our priorities and our styles have changed, and, like, I've gotten a lot chiller. I used to be more wild and crazy, and I think I'm just less wild now than I was before. And I think that's probably for the best.
So again, it was like looking back at the very start, like the very first game, the Sean Palmer, it was just me because I was trying to see if I could, do this and see what uploading these things regularly was like, see what posting them to, again, a Something Awful thread and responding to anyone was like, or so. But then it was, I realized pretty early on that I didn't enjoy, like, carrying a whole video by myself. It was, again, very, very guide-like and serious at the start. So I was like, hey Bob, you wanna be on these? And have more of a two goofers kind of thing. Well, goofer. No, but and again, I was more like, okay, we need to stay mostly serious. Like, we can have some jokes, but, like, I gotta explain the part of the game. But obviously, across 10 years, we figured out a much more natural kind of, when to focus on what's going on and when to just goof.
I think part of that is, like,
comes naturally after a while.
I mean, it's not just that it comes naturally, but we're all so comfortable with each other that Connor can just say before we go to record, like, hey, there's some things I need to explain in this video, so just so you guys know. And we're all, like, none of us are like, oh, but I wanted to get my Tight 5 out there. Like, it'll be fine. We'll just stop talking when he needs to explain and then come back to our conversation afterwards. Like, none of us are offended by it. So it's like, we're just like, not that, like, offense is really the issue, but, like, none of us are bothered by it. We were happy to do that because we understand what the game is. We know what the, not the video game. I mean, what our role there is.
It's all about
and
how you play it.
And I feel like the kind of decision making I've made towards how much of a group to have or such has also been different between these various, unknown, unplayed games, and when I, did pivot into these series covering Tony Hawk, SSX, Skate. Back when it was just kind of like freeform, I'm gonna play this game, then I'm gonna play this game, then so it was a lot looser with...
Your Matt Hoffman Pro BMX2 ones were just chaos.
Yeah, oh my god, like 2013, 2014, when I was, we were, like, me and Bob and a bunch of other friends were home for the summer again, and I'd drag my laptop over and just be like, hey guys, I'm going to record a video right now. Does anyone want to be on it with me?
Yeah, and there's like 10 people in the room. Whether you wanted to be there or not, we're recording, so be quiet if you don't want to be on it. And then we just...
But yeah, so with those, like, I was a lot I don't want to say more liberal with inviting people on, but like, yeah, just invite people on who wants to be on there. So with the series, it's definitely been like, I want to control this more, you know, Tony Hawk, SSX, Skate, because again, like, a lot more people are going to watch these, so I want to control the guest group, so I've had the same kind of 5 to 8 person guest group for those deliberately. And so, like, people have asked, you know, outside the group, like, hey, can I be on some of these? And it's been a little bit sad to say, like, no, sorry, but it's not just to exclude you. Like, again, specifically, I decided to have, you know, a tighter crew that we knew. So just like Bob said, you know, so that it could more easily be like, all right, let's focus on this. All right, we can goof, you know.
Yeah. And it's that's not to say that, like, we would never invite someone else to join that group at all. It's just that right now we have a pretty good group, and it's got a good number of people, right? So, like, we got, like, Matt, Zin, you, me, and Turo, and Skylar very, very rarely, if ever.
Yeah, like, we had more in, you know, Tony Hawk and SSX, like, Daffodil,
like,
you know.
Yeah, but, like, and, you know, like, we'll bring in a guest if it's somebody, like, important or somebody who can add some context to it. Like, we talked to Andy, you know, Andy Phipps. That'd be great, right? Like, if we could get Tony Hawk himself, I would get Tony Hawk, you know? But I can't afford it.
Man himself.
That's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it would be great to kind of focus on that a little more and maybe get some, you know, memorable experiences with some, you know, higher name guests, but it's not something I really think about often. Now, luckily, like, Bob is a lot better at, you know, going after the PR or so, but it was like, yeah, we got Andy for, you know, Andy Phipps for part of Skate, which was great. Probably would have been better to get him for, like, Tony Hawk. Yeah, and also, I got, like, Mini-Me for 2 videos on Beach King, you know, like, it would have been greater to get Mini-Me on something more popular, you know. Yeah. But maybe in the future, I don't know, we can try a little more at that. Loud Skate is kind of coming to an end. I mean, we're on the DLC for Skate 3, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, with some of the considerations, I mean, maybe I could stay with some more high-profile stuff, you know, or like the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake. That'd be good to get Andy on, but, you know, it'd be weird to be like, all right, I'm going back to these more obscure things, and here we have, I don't know, like Toasty Ghost, someone with like 500,000 subscribers, you know.
I've never heard of this person, yikes.
Skate 3 guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, you know, kind of more broadly, though, I just want to say, like, there are things we used to do back in the day that we just don't do that much anymore or at all. We don't do Let's Not Plays, generally. We don't do Insetsu Praise. We haven't done one of those in ages.
Probably for the best.
I mean, yeah, maybe for the best. You know, there's lots of stuff along the way that, like, I think if it weren't for Connor doing this series, we probably wouldn't have lived together. And if we hadn't lived together, the Steel Donut probably wouldn't have happened. And because that's really what made that much more convenient. I mean, I don't think. Well, you know what? Maybe DJ and Insetik would have happened anyway.
Yeah, so like maybe
I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have because I don't know. Like.
Oh yeah, I guess he got into mashups because of you, Matt. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like I had some influence on that existing.
Okay, so maybe a little more history. You know, not just the very start, but because see, I kind of considered it. Oh, I started making videos, and then we just kept making videos. But yeah, so like, you know. Summer 2012, I started doing this. Probably independent of that, Bob and I and our friend Alan, you know, the Alan6541 or such, decided to, you know, rent an apartment for the next couple of years of college rather than live in the dorms. Like, I lived in the dorms freshman year, you know. And then Alan, you know, moved to, was still going to the same college, but moved out, so Bob and I downgraded to a different place. But it was still like, yeah, pretty much for like 4 of the 5 years of college, Bob and I were roommates. And so like I started doing the LPs like 2012, and then we started Steel Donut like 2014, and then I think like, you know, I graduated 2016 and moved to Denver. We've said that, in several videos, and that's where I still live. And so, like,
and here's his address.
Kind of separating there, and then so along the way, asking various people online to be guests, or asking, who wants to be guests in videos, and that's where we got like Blackout, and Matt Rock's here.
Yeah. I did I ask to be on? I don't remember.
I remember distinctly. Connor showed me your videos, Matt, and said like,
"Oh, were they popular at the time?"
No, I don't know if they were popular, but you were like, "Hey," Connor specifically pointed you commented on one of the videos, and then he clicked on your channel and showed me your videos, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's got a good sense of humor, and like, I like his editing or whatever." And Connor was like, "Yeah, maybe we could ask him to be on the channel," and I was like, "I'll reach out to him." Yeah. And so I reached out to you on Skype.
Talking to you first, Bob.
Yeah, I reached out to you on Skype.
I talked to you first, and then I was really nervous about meeting Insetik.
Because we're famous.
Was famous.
Because we're
he was my hero. like legit. Because, you said you started 2012, you were, not working that summer. When I started watching you guys...
You were an embryo, yeah.
I was working that summer.
Yeah.
And I watched all of your Let's Plays before I went to work.
Oh.
I would watch one of them every single day. I think I left a comment probably on, like, all over the fucking... what's it called? Not Sean Palmer.
The wakeboarding?
What's his name?
Wakeboarding
Sean
Unleashed?
Murray. Wakeboarding Unleashed, yes. Yeah. I probably commented on all of the Wakeboarding Unleashed videos, or quite a few of them.
Something like that,
and I was watching them all before I went to work.
Yeah, so see, like, that's the thing of... I don't want to say putting in efforts on comments, but, like, sometimes at the start I'd be like, all right, I want to get more people in these videos, like, hey, who's interested? And sometimes people would just be like, add me, and it would be some schmuck with like a shitty microphone and be kind of stupid,
no charisma,
and just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, on the wakeboarding ones, I remember, Matt, you left like these genuinely like well thought out comments or so, and then
I thought you were the coolest fucking shit.
Yeah, I mean, but you just put in enough effort on those that I did like click on you, and then I saw some of your videos, and I was like, this guy has, 1, a good microphone, 2, knows how to make videos. Like, those were those edited, like, what were you doing at the time?
Reviews.
Sorry, it was like
reviews of like visual novels and stuff.
Yeah. But it was like edited, well put together, good sound quality, and so it's like
to this day I have the Fading Hearts music stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Because so it's made me hear it in your fucking review.
Can't help it.
So it's like if the only
good music.
if the only thing you ever posted to me was just one comment that was just like good shit, I don't know if you'd be in this call right now. We'd ever.
Yeah. I think it was the perfect storm of everything.
Yeah. So it's just like put in effort on your comments.
If any one thing had changed, I would not be here right now.
Like, and again, I don't remember who it was, but someone offering some really clearly laid out like advice and such on some of my old Amped 2 videos was why I checked the game out again, several years later and gave it another shot. So again, just, typing out more than just like one quick sentence or whatever. I know it's tough, and I sure as hell never really leave comments on other people's pages, but that might be a great way to introduce yourself,
Yeah. I mean, sometimes. It really depends. And like that's also like that's the thing, like more generally, taking it even broader, like just about like making friends, about introducing yourself to people. Like the thing that somebody like you're afraid to introduce yourself. You're afraid to interact with a stranger, and you want to introduce the thing that other people will look for when you're talking to them is, do you seem safe and do you seem sensible, right? If you're thinking about what you're saying before you say it, and you don't just write, like, nonsense in a comment or in person, you say something. If you're not speaking nonsense, people are generally fairly nice. They may not be looking for, like, a friend right then and there, but, like, they're generally polite. And so, like, it just so happened we were thinking, okay, we could mix things up, or I guess Connor was thinking that. I wasn't really making any decisions about these kinds of things, because at the end of the day, it's his channel. If he wants me to reach out to somebody, I can, but I don't reach out to people generally without without running it by him first. Although, in the case of Andy, I did run it by Andy before I ran it by Connor, because I figured Connor would say yes, and if nothing ever came of the email, then it was going to be like, I would just not talk to him about it.
Yeah, and I mean, like...
Because, I mean, like, what's the point? Like, it's like, I tried to get Andy. Oh, did you get him? No. Like...
And, like, specifically for that, I remember, first year of doing this, first it was the summer, and we were both not really doing anything, and then it was... second year of college, and we lived together, so it was easy enough. But then, like, summer 2013, I remember you were really busy. Like, I think you had... I don't remember, but, like, I was on vacation at some point. You were otherwise, we were never just going to be able to, like, get together normally. So that's where I was specifically like, all right, does anyone in the comments of these videos or on the, Something Awful Let's Play thread want to be, in my videos potentially, and like, asked to kind of get a wave there, and like that's where we met Blake. He had been a watcher but more silent, but took up the offer, and you guys really hit it off.
Yeah, that's true.
And probably since Wakeboarding Unleashed was in that first year, probably Matt, maybe you took up that offer as well.
No, I did not. I came in after that at the very tail end.
Yeah, because I remember it was like the three of us,
mid
you, me, and
2014.
Yeah, like when I came it was at least a couple months before like we introduced Blake and Matt.
And the reason I know that is because I had watched all those videos that had other people in them before I joined. So that's why I know that I came in like after you put out the call.
Let me ask, this is a totally unrelated question, but I want to ask. Connor, when did you decide that you wanted to just shit all over your viewers constantly? Specifically, I'm thinking about like the 3,000 subscriber special. Every time you've ever done a mystery game and put a misleading thumbnail, DJ Insetik just generally.
I mean, like, I guess, a good amount of my humor has always been just like, I don't know, kind of surprising, sort of, or just like saying some shit out of absolutely nowhere, or dropping some shit out of absolutely nowhere. Like, like DJ Insetik and then also True Bloods D9 were both like, oh, Matt has this hobby that he talks to me about sometimes.
Let's ruin it.
Time to ruin his fucking
Let's
day.
do something so bad it's good, certain parts of my humor, I mean, you could just watch my videos and like, I will be going and then I will just very deadpan drop some ridiculous thing that's like the first time that's ever been uttered by any human being in history,
Yeah, some dumb shit.
It's very funny to think back to DJ Insetik, audience. I was super fucking pissed off that DJ Insetik existed. I was so fucking
Were you mad? I didn't know that.
I was like annoyed.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Maybe I wasn't like salty mad, but I was like just annoyed. I felt like Connor was just making fun of me.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the second hobby that I went after.
Sorry, my cat's knocking my mic over. Get down.
Oh, by the way, if anyone wants to hear all that DJ Insetik stuff again, I'll link it. I made a Bandcamp page.
I'll say, audience. It's a hard listen, but listen to the last album if you actually want to laugh, like an unironic.
I think some of them are fucking great, and some parts of them are just
Such
horrific.
Trap Heights is really good, and then all of To My Gang is really good. I don't really remember the rest.
I mean, Ronnie James DMX is...
Okay, that one's pretty good too.
It's hilarious.
Okay, that one's pretty good too.
Magic Tool Bus will always be a favorite of mine.
I just really like the titles. The Sky is My Limit.
See, like, the way a lot of these things work
stick in my head.
is that I'll have, like, a general idea, but then, like, Bob and I will work on it together, and Bob adds all the incredible extra layers,
stupid nonsense.
Like, I want to make bad mashups. Okay, I'll kind of work on some, but then Bob will have, like, these themed track ideas or ideas for the album title or album cover that really makes it memorable.
I think I came up with the album title, The Sky is My Limit.
Yeah.
I love that album.
Because, like, it's not The Sky is the limit. The sky's the limit means anything goes, but The Sky is My Limit means I'm stuck here.
Yeah, it's his limit. He will not pass.
He's not
not gonna pass it.
Yeah.
That's his limit. He's not getting any further than that.
I don't think I actually came up with most of the theme stuff. I think you did. I just like occasionally you would have like, I know I want to use this song, but I don't know what else I could use, and I'll be like, I know this other song that might work for you.
Who came up with fuck reading?
That was Connor all the way.
Okay,
Fuck reading was entirely Connor.
Yeah.
That is one of the to this day I still have fuck reading.
That was just one of those things where it's like,
stuck in my head.
I came up with one part of the joke at one point, and then much later came up with another part of the joke, and then finally like had an opportunity to really put together.
And like
something about stupid motherfucker. He thinks he's so good
like,
because he can read.
I think that skit before, I think, was Bob and I. Like, you know.
I think we may have workshopped it, but it was mostly that was
you know
mostly
what I love about it? You know what I love about it is that it has nothing to do with the entire rest of the album. It's
at
never
all.
brought
Yeah.
up again.
And like it's not like Insetik has
like...
this like it's not like even a running joke that Connor can't read. Like it's just right there. He's putting his foot down. He doesn't like reading.
Yeah.
And like
I love it so much.
I also love you had a track on Mashup Angel Remix Demon called Penny Lane Racers, which the only reason that track exists is because we had just recently been playing the N64 game Penny Racers.
Yes,
and Penny Lane kind of worked with it, and you were like, okay, we'll make Penny Lane Racers.
Yeah, like part of some of the things that we did, and I remember just like so specifically, you know, events that we did or things that we experienced that like led to I'm describing this terribly, but like no one else would have come up with that because it was just so specific of a thing. And sure, maybe that is to the, you know, detriment a bit. I mean, you don't watch the more popular channels or like, you know, PewDiePie or Markiplier, and they just reference something that's an in-joke to them and one other person. But fuck it, we're gonna do it anyway, you know? And maybe, I don't know, you guys have never really complained about that. But yeah, like, Penny Racers,
I remember
that was
one comment from a guy who didn't like it.
Us, and yeah, like some other of our
DJ
friends,
Insetik.
like Grant.
There was one guy who was like, "This needs work," and you were like, "Nah, it's perfect."
Oh, I'm talking about like specifically for this example to explain the in-joke.
Sorry, real quick, I just want to say, I'm looking for April 1st, 2016. You did World's Scariest Police Chases as like an April Fool's thing, and we did like an Ultimate Horror Games episode 1. And one of the comments on there is from a channel called The Surfs, which is like a leftist YouTube channel that I'm subscribed to now.
Really?
With 65,000 subs.
That's crazy.
47 World's Dangerous Police.
Yeah,
I'm gonna...
Here, I'll link it to you. It's the top recommended comment to me because I'm subscribed to them. But The Surfs,
I don't remember this video. Let me see.
Yeah, so just to wrap back around, I mean, my story was just going to be like, yeah, me and my friends played this game that one of us just happened to have for the N64, and like, we had a lot of fun one night kind of breaking the game. I remember we figured out if you drifted a certain angle against a wall, your car would just, like, rapidly accelerate.
Yeah.
And fly away.
I have no idea if that's even a speedrun tactic now, but...
And, like, yeah, so just, like, one of the songs from the game, because it was an N64 game, so it had only, like, a few songs that looped or whatever, was that music. And I was just like, hey, if I could find an acapella for Penny Lane by the Beatles, I'll make Penny Lane Racers. So, yeah, what else do I want to cover? Because it was like, yeah, just these quirky little, fun little in-jokes, and yes, sometimes I do a bit of trolling, which is why, you know, we do these things like these April Fool's specials or mystery games or whatever. I do feel like obviously now that we all live separately or such, you know, and this isn't just for Insetik. I mean, this was for like Steel Donut, for like Ultraman Black as well. Like, I feel like, you know, I wonder about what we would have been able to continue doing or would have done if like you and I still lived together and such. Close. But I mean, now we're like 6 years out past that. You have a real definitive life, like with your wife, you know, and
I mean, like, we don't like living here, so we can move.
And I mean, again, I'm an engineer. That's why I've never really needed to monetize this. You know, I'm not looking for
a new career,
trying to become a YouTuber, because again, like, I don't want to get all super serious about this, but yeah, I am not very great at really planning things out. So again, like, the reason why I've been able to keep doing this is because they don't require that much editing, you know, or like long project creation.
I think that's fine. That's healthy. I mean, I work at a pretty high-end paying job too, so I feel like me and you are. Oh my god! I knocked my mic over. Jesus. I feel like me and you are blessed in the sense that we almost have, like more control over what we do because there's no obligation. Like, I feel like that's good. That we don't have to rely on YouTube. YouTube seems like a very scary place to rely on right now anyway.
Yeah.
And I feel like it gives us freedom that some other people can't afford. So, like, I would not be complaining that, like, YouTube will never be my job. I think that's probably a good thing.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think we've done a lot of shit. We've done a lot of random weird games and had a lot of weird goofs, and I think it's it's interesting. We've had a lot of people cycle through. Same thing with like Steel Donut. Like, I responded to a lot of the comments on Steel Donut stuff, and so like even people who probably don't remember the full name of our channel, I remember their usernames because they left comments on our stuff, and like we had a similar practice as far as guests, I think, with Steel Donut and Insetik, where like we would just bring on anybody who was a friend, right? Or like anybody who was friendly. So like if we had done that with Steel Donut, we would have had like a shitload of people who were just Discord friends or just fans or whatever.
Friends back
Skype friends and stuff. And
Discord
so like
wasn't around back then.
yeah, we didn't. I'm glad we changed it to just being like we're more selective about it, because although I like being friendly with people, that doesn't mean it's necessarily good for the content. And I'm not saying like content is everything, but like if you're gonna make something, you might as well make it the best it can be. And like I'm not saying people are like they don't deserve to have fun or whatever. It's just that like I don't think our stuff necessarily needs to be everybody else's fun, So like we can.
Well, I think they don't deserve to have fun.
That also, yeah.
No, they don't deserve to have fun. I'm just kidding.
I mean, to be like serious about it again, there are some older videos or such that are really tough to watch. I mean, not even just because of like a certain commenter, but just the mood or whatever. Like Freak Style, that was. Bob wasn't there for those, so it was me and a whole bunch of people that I didn't really know, and so you can hear that the back and forth isn't that great.
Yeah, and
I remember Freakstyle. I don't want to shit all over you. I remember Freakstyle very specifically is one that I watched probably the least, and one that was the most uncomfortable.
Yeah. If the game,
and I remember that at the time too. Like at the time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, this is just awkward. I'm not that interested in this."
Yeah, I mean. So
it was like the opposite of the absolute chaos of Matt Hoffman 2, which Matt Hoffman 2 is also hard to watch sometimes because of the absolute chaos. I think the only thing that saves the Matt Hoffman ones is just everybody laughing uncontrollably at just stupid shit.
So maybe that's the natural point to end off on before the questions is like, we've talked about the past and the present, but maybe what about the future? It's expected that I'm just gonna keep kind of doing this. So it's like when I, future here is, I guess, like what games or what's gonna be covered next, and I don't really know. Like again, I feel like my long-term planning or thinking ahead skills has gotten kind of bad recently. But like, I mean, we did play through most of the unplayed games, across the years. So maybe like, I think overall, once like the Skate series ends, because then we've talked about it, it's like, are there any other really big series to do? So maybe just like stay in more modern stuff, or like, like I was doing, PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox for the longest time, because that's when, the whole extreme sports scene blew up, and that's where all of the, churned out, okay to bad, unknown kind of games were. But,
I mean, games were cheaper to make back then, so it makes sense that there'd be a lot of that.
That's when shovelware was really a big thing.
But I could stay at like
PS2 shovelware.
Generation 7, PS3, Xbox 360. There's some other like snowboarding games to play, or some other extreme sports kind of like here and there or so, or just go more new, and do like the newer stuff, like Riders Republic or the other games that are really on Steam or so. I don't know. We'll have to see. But that's kind of what I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, I actually was kind of curious. What other kind of shit do you have in you? You have still a small collection, I assume.
Yeah.
Of like PS2 stuff. I mean, like what do you think is in there?
Oh, just like a bunch of games where they're kind of extreme sports adjacent, but not really. Like, I've never wanted to do racing games.
Yeah.
To me, I've always wanted to have some tricking in there, because that's where the more interesting kind of stuff for me is. Like, just racing over and over, it's like,
Yeah.
And just other stuff that's, like, adjacent to what I do, but not necessarily didn't grab my attention. Otherwise, recording this also is sort of a test, a thought we've had of maybe trying to do like a podcast kind of thing.
Yeah,
or just
you mind
group recording and hanging out.
You mind if I kind of go into that a little bit? So I just wanted to say, this is also sort of like you said, sort of a test. See if maybe a podcast would work. If you guys are interested in a podcast, we were thinking it would maybe be like a segment about like where we just kind of shoot the shit, talk about whatever. Less serious, more serious, kind of whatever topic comes to mind. And then, like, a segment where Connor would maybe make a music recommendation, because I'm not I get most of my music recommendations from Connor anyway, so he would show me some songs, and we would listen to them, and, if you guys have thoughts. And then, like, the end of it would be, like, questions and answers. So, like, you would ask us some questions from the previous episode, and we'd try to answer a couple of them. And, they can be silly questions or serious questions or whatever. That's just a thought. We were thinking about doing something like that. If that would be interesting, feel free to say something. I mean, if it's not interesting, we won't do it. But I think this was fun. This was interesting. I think you did have some questions.
Yeah. This is a good time. So to go to So to go to kind of the Q&A again that I asked. Do you guys have questions again about the Insetik channel? What do you want to know? So I've organized these by the people who posted them, alphabetically. If you haven't noticed, that's how I do like everything. I introduce my guests alphabetically unless there's someone really special.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's
I
why
thought it was the order or icon.
No, that's why Blank Tester's always first, and then either Matt or Turo, based on which one he was on, and like Zindictive's always last.
Interesting.
What the fuck?
I did that for Steel Donut as well. That's why it was always with me as Blake, Bob, Matt, Yella.
My rule.
I never noticed.
My rule for introducing people was just never Blake last. That was it. Because I didn't want him to think I was I thought that might upset him in some way, so I just never put him last. But I would just pick you guys randomly.
All right.
So I think mine was always Connor first, then Bob, then Blake, then Yella.
Yeah, but just sticking to kind of mini little system. So all right. So from
how would you guys wait real quick? How would you guys feel if I admitted right now that I never introduced Yella? Like you thought I did, but I just never did.
Oh.
Well,
it never happened.
Man.
Like you just never noticed. I would be like Connor and Matt.
With you, I would have never noticed.
And I just never introduced them. And no one ever brought it up.
Yeah, it's always.
Well, I mean, you never introduced the magical sixth member of the Steel.
That's true, Nathan.
Right. Fucking
Nathan. You never introduced Nathan. He was on every fucking video.
I didn't want him there.
Every single one of them. He was always there, always on.
Why would I introduce him when I want him gone?
Yeah, he'd send me his audio and I'd just mute his track.
Yeah,
it was really fucked up what we did to him,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was fucked up. He deserved it.
I think he deserved it, honestly.
He deserved
he was a real piece of shit.
Yeah, he was a dumb little piece of shit.
I mean, he definitely deserved.
You know what, people? It's always those, like, a developer reveals something about a game they made 25 years ago that no one knew about, and that always blows up. So, it's just like the little inside things, the little things.
Little Easter egg. There was
Easter
a
eggs.
sixth member who never made it onto the channel banner or any videos.
All right, so starting with Infinity Gaming. Well, actually, we did kind of just cover a few of these. What are your future plans for LPs or just content in general, if any? Continuing with this kind of series, maybe also doing these sort of podcast things. What makes you want to do LPs? Just for fun? At the start, it was, to get the word out there and get footage out there. But yeah, it's kind of for fun. it really is like the only gaming I really do nowadays, aside from very recently where Bob got me into Destiny 2, and I've been putting way too many hours into that.
As does every Destiny player.
Right. Then, have you ever tried Little Caesar's pretzel crust pizza, and did you like it or not? No, I've never tried it.
I've never tried it.
I've never even heard of it, but it sounds awful.
I've never tried it. You worked for Little Caesars, didn't you, Matt?
Yeah, so I know it would be awful.
Well, see, I don't like pretzels, generally speaking. Pretzels. I don't like pretzels. I especially don't like hard pretzels. Soft pretzels I can kind of get down with, but, like, it's, like, they're, and this is going to sound so stupid, they're too bready for me. They're just too bready for me.
Yeah, I understand.
And not hard pretzels. I only like soft pretzels.
And like I know people who love pretzels will say that's the whole point of a pretzel. And I'm like, I know. That's why it's for you, not for me. I don't. It's just too bready for me. No, I eat a big totally soft pretzel and I will fall asleep immediately.
Like, you know, fair, sometimes bread, like when you take a bite of something and it is just bread, you know, that's I don't really like that either. Like,
even dipping it in, like, a cheese or, like, a mustard or something, it's still, like, I just, I don't know. Pretzels were never my thing.
So.
Though, part of that is also, for when I was a kid, I'd only ever seen hard pretzels, so the discovery of soft pretzels itself kind of, I was like, how come nobody told me there was a better version of pretzels? You know? Yeah. Like, because to me it was like, oh, you're eating wood, you're eating sticks.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what hard pretzels were when I was a kid.
That is what hard pretzels taste like. They are just sticks.
Yeah. So then, what game console is the most nostalgic to you? Not necessarily your favorite, but the one you have fond memories of. I think it probably has to be like the Xbox 360, just because of the Halo series. Like, I was an extreme sports kid, and then like when like Halo 2 came out, I went over to become an Xbox guy and a Halo player, and pretty much then only played like Halo 2 into Halo 3 into Halo Reach online.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would probably say Dreamcast for me, because I know it's not a question for me, but I'm going to answer.
Go for it.
These questions can be to all three of us.
Gaming for thinking about me when you made this question. Dreamcast, because that's when I played all the Tony Hawk games.
Yeah. My answer's got to be the Ouya. No, it's
shut up.
Unparalleled power.
Unparalleled power. The Xbox 360 for me for sure.
My Android phone.
I have my brother took our Xbox 360 to a friend's house one time and got really, really drunk, and somebody kicked the Xbox and just killed it. That night, killed the Xbox. And then someone else who was really drunk, puked on the Xbox. And they, like, opened it up and just, like, brushed out all the puke, and they weren't sure what to do, and they put it back together, and then on a whim they turned it on and it worked.
Did I ever tell you that my friend...
They puked on it and it fixed the Xbox.
Wait, just on that topic, my friends, who I used to hang out with all the time, they had an Xbox and they had Halo 2 on it, and they were all brothers. And they one day decided to collectively take their Xbox and sledgehammer it because they could not get along when they played Halo 2.
Wow.
And they didn't want to fight with each other. So
I can't imagine.
Fucking Xbox.
I can't imagine loving my brother that much.
It's just, dude, I didn't think about it at all because I was like 11 when it happened. But as I've gotten older, I was like, what happened between those three?
I mean, it sounds like
was that bad.
It's not even that it was that bad. What happened was love, okay? The brothers loved each other so much that they would rather destroy the Xbox.
Gentlemen.
What were they doing when they played Halo 2 that made them fight bad enough for them to want to destroy their Xbox?
That's what happened. They lost.
It sounds like it was more than two brothers. So, sure, if you want to play split screen, two people, you can kind of put the cardboard thing up along the middle. But if you have 3 or 4, now you got to figure out quadrants. And you can't do that. So I love this. It's like, gentlemen, I propose a truce. This Xbox is tearing us apart. We must unite and collectively destroy it.
I feel like it's the fellowship of the Xbox, right? Like, they're all gathered around, and Elrond is like, we must destroy this thing.
Yeah.
And,
and Brother 1 is like, you have my sledgehammer. And
we
Brother 2 is like,
it.
and my sledgehammer. Yeah. And my sledgehammer. Everyone has sledgehammers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that scene from Office Space, but with an Xbox.
That was my favorite party to run in Lord of the Rings: The Third Age. Just all sledgehammers. Okay. James Wallace asks, Hey, Insetik, have you ever thought about doing a Let's Play for the 2 Snowboard Kids games for the Nintendo 64? I've played both those and they were great. Yeah, so the thing about the N64 and like PlayStation 1 games is that generation is just too clunky for me to really enjoy. I know that's where like the extreme sports kind of early, late 90s, 2006 really started to take off, like 1080 snowboarding, is a great game.
That one as a kid.
And Wave Race, stuff like that. But it has kind of kept me back from going that far back. So I don't know. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Then Jersey Jimmy asks, which LP that you've done is your favorite? And I actually kind of need to think about this. So I guess, do either of you have an immediate favorite?
That's tough. If I was going off of just nostalgia, I would say, what's it called? The first one I saw by you.
Wakeboarding.
Probably my favorite. Yeah, Wakeboarding Unleashed. That game holds a very special place in my heart as the one that got away for so many years before I saw your Let's Play.
I don't know which LP is my favorite because, like, truth be told, I don't really remember how any of them went. Ever.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have very specific ones that I remember for very specific things.
Like, I have like individual moments in my head, but I don't remember how the LP itself went, and I kind of vaguely remember what I was like, but I don't remember things I've said or who was on what or anything like that. So like, I don't know necessarily. Like, I know like I enjoyed. At the time, I know I enjoyed Aggressive Inline, but I went back and watched those again like a couple of years ago, and I was like, these are okay. Like, I don't feel like I felt like I didn't really add the right energy to those, and like that's just my opinion on it. But like, I don't know. I think like Toxic Grind was interesting. Kelly Slater was interesting. Wakeboarding Unleashed was interesting. I think the ones where they're like not the traditional sort of I don't know. It's like sort of the B tier sports. If that makes any sense, like,
you know what?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I just thought of the one that was my favorite that I was on was definitely the skiing one. Was it snowboarding? I think it was snowboarding. It was not 1080p Avalanche.
Dark
no,
Summit?
It was
1080p
not
Avalanche.
Dark Stomach. No. It was
1080 Avalanche.
Transworld Snowboarding.
It was World Snowboard.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
That one, I think, had the best ending. Like, I remember laughing the hardest at the ending of that one. We had the funniest fucking jokes.
Then
that entire thing was like gold.
You remember in Transworld Surf all those like that out of bounds shit you could do?
Yeah.
Man, that was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, like discovering or finding like these incredible glitches, like Transworld Surfing or Krusty Demons, are probably the best like individual moments, I think.
Also,
like,
and the AMF bowling the ball. I mean, that's that's preposterous. Like, I don't know what we did to cause that to happen, but that was ridiculous in the moment and still.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm a lot like Bob mentioned in that, like, a lot of these are just. I enjoyed playing them, but it's like, all right, I have played through them, I have made the videos, cool, and it's not like any super stuck with me. But I think probably like the SSX series, because that was so like near and dear to my heart, and I was able to like play those really, really well, like, and do incredible things in them, and I feel like that I could give the audience more than just a standard coverage of it. Like, I could really push those games and show you what you could do with them. So all right. Then Joe Berard asks, what do you think is the most underrated game you've played on your channel? His vote is Aggressive Inline.
I think Aggressive Inline is good. It does have its fans, right? Like, I think there are people within the community who know, Aggressive Inline. I think another one that's pretty underrated, and this is a weird one, Surf's Up. It's weird to me that I think Surf's Up is probably the best surfing game we've played.
Yeah, We even kind of noticed that at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, because like
it's
after
it's a surprisingly solid surfing game.
yeah, because like after Kelly Slater, we tried playing a bunch of other surfing games, and they were all just really bad.
Yeah,
and so
like
it was like
what was it like? Something H3O.
yeah, Surfing H3O,
Yes,
then Trans World
yes,
Surf. And it was just like, seriously, can anyone else just make a competent surfing game? And then along comes Surf's Up, and it's like,
Yeah,
wow.
Surf's Up is like, wow, they really
And it was a licensed game.
a
too,
license,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like a solid,
a movie licensed game that was somehow better than every other surfing game.
right? Like that's weird. I
How'd
think
they
that
do it?
one's
I never thought about it until I watched you guys play like Kelly Slater surfing. That like, out of all the extreme sports, surfing I think might be the hardest one to make like actually interesting.
yeah, because like it's definitely interesting in the moment for a surfer, right?
Yeah, when you do
it,
like
but it's like the reason it's
adrenaline, heart pounding.
yeah,
but
it's
like,
such a visceral experience that it's hard to translate
but
into
in
a
a
video
game, it requires you to be basically in one location and do like one.
Right, the
you
world
can't leave
moves
that
around
fucking
you
Wave.
and-
That's the entire part of surfing.
Yeah, and the tricks you do are
skateboarding-
gonna be sort of limited.
Yeah, and like skateboarding, you go all over where you want. You know,
Yeah.
urban.
You can
know,
stop.
It's an urban fun box. You know, same with roller. Aggressive inline and snowboarding has big mountains. You go down, you're going somewhere. Surfing is one wave, and you were just kind of stuck there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It could be a big
it's really
wave, it
not
can
that
be a small
interesting to
wave,
play it
but
out.
you can't make like an obstacle course or the kind
you
of
also-
interesting opportunities.
you also only have one shot at it, right? Like if you're on the
Yeah.
wave and you crash, you have to
That's
wait
it.
till
That
the
wave
next.
is gone.
Yeah, you have to wait for the next wave. You can't.
Yeah.
So like, I think surfing itself is an interesting sport to try to make a game out of, and then also like, I think the other thing that I think is underrated is I feel like it's probably true that if we went back to some of the Let's Not plays, not all of them, but some of them, I bet you we would find one or two games where it's like, hey, this is actually not so bad.
Huh. Yeah, I need to look back at what we did for those, since, as you mentioned, it's been forever since we did those.
Yeah.
Which is, again, just because, hey, we all live together, so we all live separately. Let me just
We
restart
live
that.
near each other, yeah.
Hey, we all live separately, so it's like I'd either need to like stream it. We can't just have the direct next to each other looking at the TV kind of responses.
Yeah.
But I'd say for my underrated games, Jet X2O, of course. I mean, it's almost literally SSX Tricky, but on jet skis. I mean, there are some major downsides that it has, or flaws that the SSX series doesn't, so it's not going to be for everyone, but I mean, it just is the embodiment of the kind of, tricks equal boost, boost equals speed kind of wacky characters, wacky environments, crazy tricks kind of thing. And then, let's see, that feels like an easy answer, so what else? Honestly, well...
Pets, Dogs,
Yeah,
2.
Yeah, Pets, Dogs, too. I mean, if you love animals, you need to be playing video games about animals, to represent them. We got to get animals more represented.
Yeah, for sure.
Animals are getting the short end of the stick. Like, nobody cares about animals,
Yeah.
No, honestly, I feel like maybe the original Amped games need some more love. I know that's kind of weird to say, but it surprisingly less, videos made about them and such than I thought there would be, Like, it seems like Amped 2, at least or so, is like a classic for a lot of people, but if you search for videos of it, it's pretty much the only ones since my, videos have been like, oh, okay, here's 10 minutes of playing it on the latest Xbox emulator.
Yeah.
Those
You know what's another one that's definitely underrated? Toxic Grind.
I almost feel like I should revisit Toxic Grind.
You think?
Not for a full series, but just to kind of play it again. Like,
I mean, you've had that as your icon on Discord, at least, and on YouTube for a long time.
Yeah, and so I mentioned the Xbox emulator. Our friend Ubis has been playing with that and has been showing us kind of the progress of Xbox emulation, and it's gotten pretty good. Like, he showed me, him playing Toxic Grind for a bit, and of course the actual game was still doo-doo, but it ran fine. And again, like, for me, being able to do more consistent like PS2 and GameCube emulation was what pushed me to get first an actual PC and then a better PC. So if Xbox emulation is working good, then hey, maybe some, fan requests of Xbox only games like, I don't know, Jet Set Radio Future, if I could play that in 1080 crisp, such.
Well, aren't they re-releasing Jet Set or Jet Grind Radio? One of them.
I don't know.
Jet Grind Radio.
Anyway, to continue on, Morbigana Who has a bunch of questions. I can probably easily answer some of these. How did this channel start? I kicked off a video with that. How did you guys become friends? I kind of kicked off that, or, kind of introduced that as well. But, for Bob and I, we went to the same elementary school.
Yeah.
And then same high school.
Yeah, I left for middle school, and then I came back. We weren't really friends in elementary school. I think we've talked about this on some LP before, I'm sure. But we weren't really friends in elementary school, but we knew each other. We were in the same class. We just didn't really hang out or anything. But then, in high school, Connor sat behind me in English class, and we would just kind of goof around.
Yeah, and you lived right next to the high school, so it was hey, you want to come play video games afterwards? And it was
we can just hang out.
No detour at all, just
yeah,
walk over and.
I mean, yeah, it was so close to the high school.
You were real, you are really charismatic. So you get this friend group, and so it wasn't just oh, you and I hung out separately. I mean, just lunch and over at your house, that's where Grant and Alan and everyone else, a lot of people would hang out, and so it was just naturally kind of spent a lot of time and stuff.
It became natural to go from obviously it went from, it wasn't we were two YouTubers who collaborated. It was he was living his life and I was his friend, and then he started this hobby. And then I was like, hey, do you need a co-commentator? I remember you showed me the first couple of videos, and I don't remember if you asked me or if I just volunteered some advice. But I was like, it might be less awkward if you had a co-commentator. And at the time I was thinking oh, I could do that, but I didn't want to just say it outright. And I think
by the middle of Sean Palmer, I remember already saying, I'm planning for the next game. I'm gonna get someone else.
Okay.
As well.
Insetik and Blink Tester, name a more iconic YouTube collaboration.
Yeah. Then continuing on, I guess favorite console, favorite game for me, Xbox 360 or Xbox Halo 2. When did you start playing video games?
Hold on.
So
Hold on, favorite console, favorite game, I gotta say, Xbox 360, Halo 3. Halo 3 is my jam, over Halo 2 even.
Yeah. No. Then when did you start playing video games? So I was really young. I was born in the early 90s. And first console was a Nintendo 64 with Super Mario 64. So probably as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, my parents got me an N64.
Yeah, my family, I remember one Christmas, some family friends got my brother and me a Game Boy Color, and Pokemon Gold, I think, was the game that they had gotten us. And then we went back and played Red and Blue, but Dave pretty much exclusively played Gold. And then I got my own Game Boy and played Silver until it got stolen at an ice rink. It was so sad. It was so fucking sad because I don't know if I got scammed or if it was just bad luck, but I was playing on my Game Boy and somebody was having trouble with one of those claw machines, and I was at a school thing at this ice rink, and they were at the claw machine, and I didn't really want to ice skate at all, so I was like, whatever, I'll just whatever. They're having trouble with it. They say, hey, can somebody help me with this? I come over. I put the Game Boy down for a second, do the thing for him, get the thing. He takes it, walks away. I look down. My Game Boy's gone.
What the fuck,
yeah.
dude?
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it was maybe it was a scam. Well, either way, I was really heartbroken about that. And then I also got a PS1 and just one game for it. So I never played video games until my first real experiences with games were going over to an elementary school friend's house and playing Super Smash Bros., the original one, and we had so much fucking trouble unlocking Captain Falcon. We were having so much trouble with it.
Yeah.
And then Halo was my first real video game experience at home.
Yeah. Maybe I only got an N64 like in like 1999 or so, because I'd be like 6, and me being like 4 seems too young for
Maybe
games.
a little young.
But
yeah.
I mentioned this before, after the N64, I got like a PlayStation 2 for that Christmas it released, which was 2000. And the 2 games I got with it were SSX, the original.
Hell yeah.
And Looney Tunes Racing for the PS1.
Double hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think the first console I ever owned was a Game Boy Advance. I got it for, I think, my 5th birthday. It had just come out and I had Wario Land 4. And then after that, my dad bought a Dreamcast, because they stopped making them, so they were selling them super cheap.
Right.
And he bought a Dreamcast, and then my grandpa pirated 6 billion Dreamcast games, the entire library, and burned them to discs.
Your grandpa was fucking rad.
My grandpa was fucking rad. Before Pirate Bay or any of that shit existed, my grandpa was on the internet committing illegal activities, and he can't go to jail for it because he's dead.
Yeah, he's a corpse, but
he died in 2004, so that's how long ago my
he was. I mean,
was pirating
and
shit off.
Matt showed us one time. We were on a video call one time, and he was showing us his grandpa gave him these left behind binders full of music that he had stolen and recorded and all that stuff.
Pirated
just
those off the internet.
Books
too.
Just page after page of discs. And it was this was
music,
right when Matt had just discovered it. He was like, I'm getting into mashups, and check this out. Boom! I have all these things to sample. And I was like, holy shit.
That's when I started getting into beat making. He left me. Well, he didn't leave me, but he left those behind, and my grandmother gave them to me. Said that he would have wanted me to listen to the music
with a note that says, "Matt, this is your destiny." I cede the mantle to you.
So Dreamcast was my first home console, but Game Boy was my first console.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean, kind of along those lines of part of Matt's story, just to mention this as well, that my friend Sean, his uncle Hugh would give him a ton of burned music and such around that same time, and it was all these different types of metal and such, and so that certainly opened my range or so in the early 2000s. I mean, that's how I heard about Neurosis.
Yeah, Sean is your music source, and you're my music source.
Yeah. So just hey, that's kind of funny how that can happen. A family member just goes way out of their way to teach the young kids about what's out there. Okay.
That's why it's so important to be a cool uncle.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to be the cool uncle because I'm not gonna have kids.
I mean, I was originally thinking I would have to be the cool uncle to my cousin's kids, but now that I'm married, my brother might have to be the cool uncle. And given that he's not as bad a person as he once was, he's a much nicer person now, he might actually be a cool uncle.
Yeah. All right, to kind of speed this up a bit, PaulyQC asks, plans to bring back Insday Wednesdays, or also any thoughts on doing some sort of community event, online lobby with viewers, something like that? That would be pretty neat. Yeah, well, first for Insday Wednesdays, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's not I'm totally against streaming or whatever, but I feel kind of when I did those a bunch several years ago, I kind of rapid fire went through most of the games that I wanted to sort of test out and such.
So it would be you would have Insetik Wednesdays would have to be something else.
It wouldn't be I wouldn't want to right now announce okay, I'm getting back into Insetik Wednesdays and I'll be streaming every week.
I mean, part of the idea of doing a podcast, to kind of circle back to that, was I was thinking it might be good if Connor, I think right now you put out 2 videos a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of video, and I was thinking maybe the podcast could substitute for one of those days, and then we could I could edit those to make it easier for you, since you just have less to do.
Yeah.
And that would, adding streaming back into it would kind of negate that benefit, I think. Because streaming is a whole different can of worms that you're again not trying to become not trying to make this your career. So
yeah, and
it's
again,
a lot of work for not much benefit, I think.
It was, I was doing like one video a week for a long time, and then with these more popular series, I wanted to do twice a week to keep up the engagement more. But if I do go back to just like
random shit,
single games or whatever, yeah, maybe one vid a week of those and a podcast a week.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And then in terms of community events, like I don't know.
Community events would be great. I think since I tend to be the PR guy, I think community events would be great. But the problem with doing community events is that almost all the games Connor covers don't really lend themselves to community events, except for things like the Johnny Mosley speedrunning thing, which is sort of a community event, but it's not an event as much as just like a community push. Connor would like to push a speedrunning scene, and so he uploads his own things and sets some times for people to go compete against. If you want a community event, that's the kind of thing that we would be best at engaging with.
Or maybe if I do play something that has a much more recent and has more of an online kind of thing, like Riders Republic, or
Thug Pro.
When Skate comes out, or so. Yeah, I did play Thug Pro online with some people back when I covered Tony Hawk Underground, but honestly, that was just kind of an unfortunate timing thing where not a lot of people I asked could really make it, so it was just 3 of us playing for an hour and a half, and I didn't want to upload that.
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing where I was getting at. I don't know if I'm popular enough to, if I ask for people to join me in a lobby or so, get enough to really make it worth it. But yeah, if I am playing something that has a more, easily, you could just get online and join my lobby or something. Maybe then we could try it out.
Yeah, I think Descenders might work like that. Couldn't we party up with, how many people can be in a party in Descenders? Right? Couldn't we party up with that?
Depending on the map. Didn't we do that, though?
Yeah, we did that once, I think.
Okay.
I think it was
because I was working night shift. I remember
6 to 8 people, or at least, I could stream and you could follow me around to whatever maps I do or whatever.
Yeah, so, something like that maybe.
Okay.
But besides that, I don't know what games we would do.
This feels like kind of a big question. I'm going to try not to make this a big answer, but the Scrabble King asks, what's the biggest thing you've learned over the course of all these LPs? Could be a personal lesson, something pertaining to your friends and co-hosts, a lesson on how to, logistics, how to do these, or just something that stuck with you over all these years.
I've got an answer.
Friends are that put you together, friend. Yeah, I don't know.
I think the biggest thing I've learned, is that, as much as I thought I got it, I didn't really get how important it is to just be straightforward with people. If you want someone to do something, and it's not an unreasonable request, it might seem rude to just come out and say it, but it's more useful to just come out and say it, and then we just get it done, right? When I thought a podcast would be good with Connor, I just laid out what I thought the format should be. If we want somebody to be on a video, we just ask them to be on a video. We don't just hope that something will happen. And that's something that I discovered through, that's something that really reaffirmed in my mind over the years from working on Insetik stuff, because Connor is the one who kind of pushes me to do things. I always have plans for things, but I'm always one of those people who drags my feet. Connor is the kind of guy who just gets things done. And those two, I have ambition but no work ethic. He has work ethic but no ambition at all. Connor is worthless as far as I know. I'm kidding.
It's amazing that you say that, because that I always feel like I'm the kind of person who kind of just wishes things would happen in my life, and then
you wish things would happen, but at the end of the day, you still push through the hard work of getting stuff done, and I don't really do that unless I'm really pushed to do it. Yeah. Unless there's a little bit of a fire burning under me. And so when it comes, I think a lot of people are nervous about starting things, nervous about trying to get people to do things, and like at the end of the day, they're never going to do it just because you wished it. So like if you want to start making Let's Plays or you want to start your YouTube channel, the first thing to do is start. Like, it doesn't matter whether the first couple videos you do are garbage. That's fine. They can be garbage. And like, it doesn't even matter if what you do in the first couple ones is bad. Like, if I have to apologize for things, I just apologize for them. Like, there's shit I've done and said on Insetik videos and on Steel Donut videos that I'm not proud of. And like, if somebody says, hey, you shouldn't have said that, you're a piece of shit, I'd be like, yeah, I was a piece of shit. I wouldn't say that now. Sorry. Like, I'm sorry for saying that. Just own up to your mistakes and move on. And people will respect that. And I think, and it's not even like, that's not the kind of thing where like somebody called me out on some shit that I did in an Insetik video. It's just that like I've reflected on, jokes I've made during Insetik videos or, things I've flippantly said. And then I like go back and watch the video and I'm like, I kind of wish I had, like, I was trying too hard to be edgy. And I could try to like I could sit in my shame about being that edgelord, or I can just accept that I was that person and accept that I'm not that person anymore, and that's it.
I think that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like I don't know. I feel like I for a long time got stuck in that I regret who I was kind of phase.
Right.
And I wasn't looking forward at who I could be. I spent too much time thinking about the person I used to be and not the person I am now.
I mean, like, real shit.
A lot of people I feel like go through that, and getting through that is very important to growing up.
Yeah, like my wife and I just rewatched the original Lion King, and if you haven't seen it, it's a great film. But one of the things I didn't get as a kid that I understand now as an adult watching the movie is like, Simba leaves because he thinks he killed his dad. Scar actually killed Mufasa, but he thinks he did it. He didn't see Scar do it. And he runs away because Scar tells him to run away. And then Timon and Pumbaa teach him Hakuna Matata to just stop worrying about everything. And then at the end of the movie, he comes to realize that purely focusing on your duties and purely focusing on forgetting everything bad that ever happened to you, neither of those are good approaches. But Hakuna Matata is still important because you've got to move past the mistakes you've made. The mistake Simba made wasn't killing his dad. The mistake he made was running away after his dad died. Not after he killed his dad. He didn't kill his dad. So, like, running away. And now he has to forgive himself and move forward so that he can take up his responsibilities. If you just grovel in your guilt, you'll just catch yourself in a cycle and you're never going to get out of it. Feeling bad doesn't make anything better.
Yeah.
No.
And, I guess something I just, thought of, because in trying to, think through, like, what does this mean or so, or actually give it out, because I haven't had no opportunity before to say, like, oh, this is what I've learned from this. But, like, this is a video on my channel, but yeah. I was just silent there and let Bob and Matt talk about the thing, because this is like one of the few kind of outputs for them, like for my friends or something. Not saying you guys were like moping or whatever or such, but just like this is an audience that you want to like convey to. If you didn't have this, what would you have? And so it's just as important, for who I have on the videos to be able to bring stuff up. And, that's something I learned along the way. Again, like at the very start, it was like, all right, we goof for a bit. We talked about something else for a bit, but now we really got to get back to the game, or we really got to get back to questions or whatever. Like, but I didn't, I knew I shouldn't like cut you guys off and force us to go on,
And I think that's another thing that, I don't know if you learned this, or I feel like I learned this. It's that, like, Connor's using his channel, his position, his voice to amplify other voices that he cares about, right? Like, if Connor didn't care about what I have to say, or didn't care about what Matt has to say, we wouldn't be on his videos. But he does care about us, and he cares about what we have to say, and he's amplifying our voices. So if we have a concern about something, we can bring it up. And, like, that's, when you're in any kind of position of power, it's important to amplify the voices of people who are otherwise unheard. You know?
Yeah.
And, like, in this case, it's very small scale, right? Like, we're just talking about games, we're just goofing around, we're having fun. But, like, there are lots of important situations where that's true, too.
Yeah. I mean, like, you click on this channel, Insetik47, but it's the team behind it that, you know, you're here for, I think. Because, or at least it feels weird when it does become just a video with just me. And it's just like, hey guys, I didn't actually like record this in time to get anyone to commentate on it, so I'm just
Have you ever had that happen? Like,
yeah.
Solo?
Tony, I remember Tony Hawk 3. Like, I was just feeling kind of nervous at that point about doing, you know, Tony 20, and yeah, like a couple videos was just me. But all right, so. Then to Young Buffoon, and this is gonna close it out. First, have you ever thought of playing a multiplayer game yourselves on a video? I assume he means like a multiplayer only, you know, like we're all, you know, playing a fun game together.
PvE, maybe? I don't know.
The Destiny 2 LP coming up? Is that what I'm hearing?
I mean, and Destiny 2 doesn't make any sense to LP. It's the least structured
full
game.
Destiny 2 LP?
Like, not only is it totally unstructured in a way that, like, would help make an LP happen, you can't even play the original story of Destiny 2 anymore. So, like,
I know.
And I think, like, we don't actually really play a lot of, you know, games separately outside. Sometimes we group up together to play like Jackbox, you know,
right.
and have fun on night. So like record that and have it be like, oh, haha, TKO, Fibbage, you know, Quiplash 3 or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, I guess we could do we could also do Jackbox for your channel potentially, like if you wanted to. But
yeah, I guess like again, we've kind of had to pause for a while, but over on Blake's channel, Blackout the M&M, we have been playing through the Serious Sam series.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
What if I restarted that Hobbit LP?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that has more attention paid towards it than it ever did, you know? Like, you linked me that, like, 2.5-hour video of, like, how the Hobbit speedrun scene developed, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I actually did watch that, finally. But,
it's pretty interesting, actually, yeah.
It is, yeah. I mean, yeah. Just early 2000s game where you can really break it if you want.
No. How did the channel get the shape it currently has with the series of games being presented? We talked about how the format of the channel started.
Yeah.
It started from the Something Awful format of how to do Let's Plays, and it never really moved from there.
Yeah, you know? And it started with, like, the unknown or lesser-known games I had played before as a kid, to then be about the unknown or lesser-known games that I hadn't played before, but were out there, and then now I have been intentionally focusing on these series of popular games, which now 2 out of 3 of them have gotten the sequel announced during the time I've been doing the series, you know?
And, I mean, also part of it is, like, the format itself has changed in that we're more comfortable saying serious stuff and then also having just silly conversations about, like, Kingdom Hearts with Hanna-Barbera characters or a dumb dream I had or whatever. Which is part of why I think, circling back, podcast.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to say, you know, some joke or get on some topic that you would never hear from anywhere else, that you will only get with the Insetik channel.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, I think a lot of podcasts these days are, like, advice podcasts will be, like, they'll ask for advice and give silly answers to that. And, like, there's definitely a niche for that, but there's also so many podcasts out there that I don't even think it's necessarily, like, we're trying to break into the space and become, like, there's no chance of that, so we're not even worried about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Are you saying that this podcast we're recording right now will not hit the top 100 downloads?
It'll be 5-star on the front page of YouTube.
Every fucking night.
Every fucking night.
Every single night.
Okay. This question I admit is a little confusing. Maybe you guys know. What was the channel you've mentioned you made where you then sold it to someone and it blew up, yet it is irrelevant nowadays?
Was it was like a Halo trick jumping thing, or maybe like some kind of Halo clan or something? I remember distinctly you talking about you had a channel that I don't think it was us.
Okay. Definitely not to the level this mentions, but yeah, I did start. I was one of the co-founders of a Halo 2 trick jumping clan. Now, to admit, it's as easy to make a clan as like literally just starting one.
Hey,
yourself.
want to make a clan?
Yeah.
There, we've made a clan.
Where then, after we got like 4 or 5 people in it and we're making a video, I got kicked out. Mm-hmm. And that's because I was a raging little child as a gamer. Like, I had anger issues as a kid, and so I was not very fun to be around if trying something like technical trick jumps. But that was just like, yeah, they made a video. Yeah, some people on like High Impact Halo watched it. That was it. Yeah. Or maybe you mean like True Bloods D9, where part of the goof is that True Bloods is like the most important, most famous person in the world.
No, I think he was talking about the other one.
Well, it could be that. It could also be Up All Night Gamers that we were part of, and that is completely folded into a different brand now.
Yeah, we were part of Up All Night. Really.
It never really blew up. I still know the guy who runs that a little bit. We don't really talk that much, but occasionally I'll check in with him. I guess he's got a kid on the way, or maybe he already had the kid. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have the kid, his wife, but...
So that was, again, something where, yeah, we just started it as a group, like, way long ago, and then Bob and I left the group.
Yeah. We were in college, I was living with him, and then, we kind of drifted apart. We had very different ideas. Actually, can I say something? I was thinking about this. When I was a kid, I thought it would be really cool to have a zombie game where you could use anything. And then, like, later... Like 6 months after I had the idea, Dead Rising was announced, and
those motherfuckers.
And then when I was with, my former roommate with running Up All Night Gamers, I guess I don't know, they'll probably be able to find his name, but I don't really want to share his name right here because I don't want it to seem like I don't hold this against him. I said it would be great if before games released, what we did was we made videos where we talked about the lore and theories around the game that would set up you going in. So, like, when a game is releasing, like, I don't know, whatever fucking game, people have their theories, and we would collate not our own theories, but other people's theories we would kind of put together. Now, those kinds of lore and theory videos are everywhere. That shit is so hot on YouTube, and if we had gotten in on it back then, I think we would have done really well. But he didn't think it was a good idea, and so we didn't do it. And I'm like, twice now. I've had an idea before, and I'm like, am I going to think of something else? I don't know.
That's always been rough like that. Like, occasionally, very fleetingly, every so often, I think, like, what if I suddenly got time traveled back in time to, like, the mid-2000s, and I just did Let's Plays for, like, Halo 2?
I mean, if you're back in the early 2000s, you should invest in, like, YouTube, and you should invest in Apple.
Because back then, it was like, why would you ever want to, record the single player and then record you just talking over it? People could just play it,
I remember that was the thing.
Connor?
Yeah.
I want to say, though, how you were like, if I had invested in Let's Plays, how many people who did really early Let's Plays do you actually remember, like, by name?
Right.
Because the only one I can remember by name is, like, what was his name?
Nope, you don't remember him by name.
Deceased Crab. Deceased Crab is, like, the only Let's Player from 2007 I know. Yeah, like, would have invested in it early actually done anything?
See, the only thing I would get out of my plan would be the ability to, like, be able to point to a video creation date and say, I did it before all of you, But yeah, no, I wouldn't get any money out of it. I probably wouldn't.
I was gonna say, like, nobody remembers
lame.
People
so you're saying,
who did Let's Plays before they were popular. Like, name a
guy.
I
think
does Chugga Conroy still do stuff?
I think what's more amazing here is that Connor is admitting that if he had the ability to go back in time, he would squander it.
Yes.
He would squander
I would absolutely
that opportunity.
I mean, okay, think about it. And
I think I would too.
Okay. You go back in time to when you were 12, 13,
Mm-hmm.
If you went to your parents and said, Mommy, Daddy, can you please buy stock in this company that is not big yet, but will be, will they listen to you?
Yeah, they would. My parents definitely would. They were taking stock advice from me when I was out the womb.
Okay.
Okay, if I was like, but I mean, like,
Well,
am I going, I guess in this, I'm going back in time with the knowledge I have now, but I'm inhabiting my old body.
yes.
Yeah, so your mind,
So that would be,
you're getting
weird.
tranced back in time. Your mind is, or you're getting quantum leaped. That would be a better.
I'm getting quantum leap.
Yeah, you're going back in time to yourself, and you're in your own body.
I guess no. My parents would not invest.
I'll
in
tell you.
stock.
You know what? Man.
But like, I also wouldn't be able to make Let's Plays. I'd be 12.
Well,
Yeah,
the technology wouldn't be there for you. But like, I think, well, maybe for you. But I mean, like, I feel like I would maybe try to develop better habits.
If you were tranced back in time to when you were like preteen or such, like logically try to think through how would you do the things where, you could change the world or make yourself really rich or whatever.
The only thing I would do, the only thing I know I would try to do is, if I was given the opportunity, I would try to develop better exercise habits. Yeah. Because that's the thing that's really holding me back right now, right? Like if I could lose some weight, like then I would be able to do a lot of other things that I just can't do right now, and like that would really improve my life.
You know what sucks is I had really good exercise habits when I was.
You used to swim, right?
As I got older, yeah, no, I was super athletic until I graduated high school. I was like super athletic. I was like super good looking, and then I turned.
You were
19
pretty good
and
looking.
It all went away. As soon as I turned 19, it all went away. Because
Yeah.
I just got really shitty jobs that did not accommodate my athletic lifestyle.
Like, I don't know.
You
how
should
much
have
I wanna
run
think
the
about
PTs.
this. I was always quiet and I was always really introverted, but you look back at pictures of me in like grade school and I was just, standard looking kid. It was definitely getting a, family computer that I spent all my time on that led me to being fat and out of shape. But
anyway, last question. Young Buffoon asked, would you ever do a series on wrestling games? Their campaigns are so absurd and funny, you would have much content for episodes. And
my answer is no, and that's because actually maybe that's something that Skylar would cover.
That's what I was gonna say. Skylar's.
And you want to point to Skylar's channel?
Here's the thing. I don't really know what his channel is, and I don't know what his plans are, because he has had several different plans and they've changed. And I also don't know how busy he is, whether or not he's going to be able to do that. I know for like if we do end up getting a channel that we could put on the description, I guess I'll ask Connor to put it in the description at that point.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, we have friends now. Skylar is actually a professional wrestler. He does gigs for money. That's his job. So it's weird to me that we have a connection to that world, but Skylar might do something like that.
And he has done, just hanging out with us and doing funny stuff before, where making characters, in the WWE games or in Fire Pro Wrestling.
Right.
He's also mentioned to me that he has his Twitch channel where I don't know enough to shout it out.
That's kind of
here,
blowing
but
up, actually.
He says that it's gotten more popular.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get. I know I got a link somewhere on here.
That'd maybe be that'd be in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, twitch.tv/SkylarMac35. So, yeah, I'll just post the link here and then put it in the thing. But yeah, he streams. I know he sometimes streams wrestling stuff, but I know he also streams other random shit. And he's a friend of the channel. Go follow him or
right.
I don't know how Twitch works. What is subscribing? What is following?
Following is subscribing on YouTube. Subscribing is literally like an actual
paid thing.
You know how you do a magazine subscription where you would pay the magazine money?
But what am I getting when I subscribe on Twitch?
You get perks for watching their channel.
Like custom emotes you can use in the chat. You give them
money and you basically unlock like their emotes, and you get like a thing next to your name that says like, I have given this man my subscription.
So I don't need to subscribe to anybody.
No, it's just follow. Following is basically subscribing.
Okay.
Following
So
is
subscribing-
following is to Twitch what subscribing is
It's
to YouTube.
literally completely
And-
backwards.
Okay.
Yeah, and subscribing is to Twitch.
It's fine, I
like-
get
like
it.
Donating is to YouTube.
Okay.
Well, anyway, then to end on that, you all should like, subscribe, and follow, and
Yeah.
I don't know, join my cult.
And
Whatever.
if you, as somebody who runs an anti-cult YouTube channel, I'm going
Sorry,
to ask
yeah,
you
okay, that
not
was
to.
bad.
No, it's okay. I'm
No,
just going
I
to
was
ask
just-
you not to join the cult.
I was thinking of, like, Borderlands 3, like, follow, and obey.
Oh right.
Because
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, it was kind of a good idea at the start, that these two people who, ran, like, all the bandits in the universe were also, like, I guess, modeled off of, social media people.
Influencers, yeah. And
But
then it just got
then
annoying.
it didn't really go in directions that stayed funny. But I did like
Yeah.
that early line, like, follow, and obey.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting concept. But yeah, that's kind of it, I think. We're, like I said, like I've said throughout, if you guys have further questions for us, and if you would like us to make a podcast, please say something in the comments, and feel free to ask a question that we could then cover at the end of the next podcast episode, if we do a podcast. So,
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's, I think that's it.
Yeah.
right?
Thank
Thanks
you
for 10 years.
listening to this, extra special, kind of 10-year celebration. And we'll hope
And thanks,
to continue
Connor, for
going.
uploading for 10 years.
Yeah, thanks for the content for 10 years, Connor.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
Well, 10
me.
years
Connor-
of extreme sports stuff. Like, it's been like 15 years since my first YouTube video.
Connor, and I just want to say, as your best friend, it's gonna take. It would take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa.
See, I was thinking you
I
were
thought you
gonna
were gonna
go.
do. It's gonna take some time to realize.
Oh, I was thinking it's gonna take them time to do a bit of everything.
We all had different.
All right, well,
songs.
you know
What
what?
the fuck?
DJ Insetik, early
Oh,
2023 or no?
Oh
no,
no, it's coming
No.
back to my cult.
To my God.
Well, actually, would our next album still be Yassified/Jokerfied?
The Assified Jokerfied would be good as a double
Okay.
album, or like you could do a modern day Gilgamesh.
Yeah, modern day Gilgamesh if it's an EP or single album. Yassified/Jokerfied if it's a double. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all again. Leave comments, and now we'll see you guys later.